In the beginning, the movie star was a distant god, carved from light and shadow by studio executives. But as the 20th century wound down, the pedestal cracked. The goddess came down to earth. She became the girl next door, the warrior, the mogul, and the activist. From the billion-dollar smiles of the 90s to the raw authenticity of the digital age, these 34 women didn't just inhabit the screen. They redefined the very nature of fame. They navigated a minefield of tabloids, aging standards, and industry politics to reclaim their own image. This is the story of how the leading lady evolved into a force of nature. It was a laugh that sounded like currency. In 1990, Julia Roberts didn't just walk onto the screen, she illuminated it with a wattage that felt uniquely American. Born in Georgia to a family of actors, she possessed a magnetic approachability that belied a fierce ambition. Her breakthrough in Pretty Woman was a cultural earthquake. At just 22, she took a gritty script about sex work and turned it into a Cinderella story through sheer charisma. Critics were disarmed. Audiences were obsessed. She became the first actress to command a $20 million salary, breaking the glass ceiling of the pay gap. Roberts defined the America's Sweetheart era, a title she wore with a mix of grace and guarded privacy. Yet, she constantly fought against being boxed in by her own smile, taking gritty roles in Erin Brockovich to prove the talent outweighed the charm. A record 5-time People Most Beautiful cover star, she remains the bridge between the old Hollywood mystique and modern power dynamics. Meg Ryan. If Roberts was the smile, Meg Ryan was the soul. With her shaggy blonde cut and neurotic charm, she made cute feel complex. Born in Connecticut, she studied journalism, a background that perhaps informed her ability to observe the human condition with such wit. Her fake orgasm in When Harry Met Sally is legendary, but it was Sleepless in Seattle that cemented her status. She wasn't playing the vixen, she was playing the woman in the audience. She validated the romantic neuroses of a generation. Ryan's legacy is complicated by the industry's cruelty toward aging. As she sought to break free from the rom-com queen label with darker roles like In the Cut, the backlash was severe. Her retreat from the spotlight was a quiet protest against an industry that wanted her to remain 28 forever. Sandra Bullock. She was the reliable one. Sandra Bullock entered the scene not as a siren, but as a partner. Born to an opera singer and a voice coach, she spent her childhood in Germany, cultivating a groundedness that served her well in Hollywood. Her breakthrough in Speed proved she could hold the screen against an action hero. But it was Miss Congeniality that showcased her genius for physical comedy. She made being unpolished desirable. Bullock's resilience is her signature. Facing a highly public divorce days after winning her Oscar for The Blind Side, she navigated personal trauma with a dignity that turned public pity into profound respect. Nicole Kidman. Australian aristocracy of the screen, Nicole Kidman began as a curly-haired redhead in the 80s, but her marriage to Tom Cruise often overshadowed her early work. She was seen as an accessory until she decided to become the main event. Her breakthrough was a slow burn, culminating in the 1-2 punch of Moulin Rouge and the others in 2001. Divorced and liberated, she unleashed a torrent of creativity. She was unafraid to be ugly, wearing the prosthetic nose for the hours to win her Oscar. Kidman's legacy is one of artistic bravery. She consistently chooses the strangest, most difficult directors, proving that a movie star can also be a character actor. By the mid-90s, the cinema had a rival. Television was no longer the graveyard for careers. It was the incubator for a new kind of intimacy. We didn't just visit these women at the theater, we invited them into our living rooms every Thursday night. She launched 1 million haircuts. Jennifer Aniston, born into a show business family, struggled with failed sitcoms until she landed Friends. She was meant to be part of an ensemble, but her timing and warmth made her the breakout star. The Rachel wasn't just a style, it was a cultural reset. but Aniston fought hard to prove she was more than Rachel Green. Her turn in The Good Girl showed a darker, depressive side that critics hadn't expected. Her life became a tabloid commodity, the divorce, the poor Jen narrative, which she dismantled with a searing op-ed about the objectification of women. She redefined success as longevity and autonomy. Courtney Cox. While Aniston was the heart, Courtney Cox was the spine. As the original famous face of the Friends cast, she anchored the show with a neurotic perfectionism that was hilarious and endearing. Simultaneously, she became the face of horror in the Scream franchise. Cox's legacy is one of endurance. She has openly discussed her regret over chasing youth with fillers, dissolving them to embrace her natural face, a powerful statement in a youth-obsessed town. Halle Berry, a beauty queen who fought to be taken seriously. Halle Berry, born in Cleveland to a white mother and black father, faced an industry that didn't know how to cast her. Her breakthrough in Monsters Ball was raw, stripped down, and historic. Becoming the first, and still only, black woman to win Best Actress, the moment was triumphant yet heavy with the burden of representation. Berry navigated the highs of X-Men and the lows of Catwoman with her head high. She remains a symbol of breaking the color line in the most exclusive club in the world. She was told her accent would remind audiences of their housekeepers. Salma Hayek, a soap opera superstar in Mexico, arrived in Hollywood to find a wall of prejudice. She didn't climb the wall, she blew it up. Her breakthrough in Desperado was scorching, but her passion project, Frida, was her manifesto. She produced it herself when no one believed in a movie about a unibrowed communist painter. She proved that Latinas were not just spicy sidekicks, but producers and powerhouses. Jennifer Lopez. The triple threat. Jennifer Lopez didn't just want a seat at the table, she wanted to build the building. A dancer from the Bronx, she fought her way from Fly Girl to leading lady in Selena. She became the first woman to have a #1 movie and #1 album in the same week. The green dress literally invented Google Images. Her legacy is work ethic. She turned herself into a global brand, yet her performance in Hustlers reminded the world she is a ferocious actress first. Catherine Zeta-Jones, a Welsh choir girl who possessed the dark glamour of the 1940s. Catherine Zeta-Jones arrived in Hollywood fully formed. Steven Spielberg saw her in a miniseries and cast her in The Mask of Zorro, 1998. She brought a maturity and elegance that felt rare in the era of teen comedies. Winning an Oscar for Chicago while heavily pregnant, she proved that musical theater chops and movie stardom could coexist. She has battled bipolar II disorder publicly, helping destigmatize mental health issues among the elite. Cindy Crawford. The mole, the hair, the body. Cindy Crawford wasn't an actress first, but her crossover in Fair Game, 1995, marked the moment the supermodel became indistinguishable from the movie star. She represented an era where physical perfection was the primary currency. Though she pivoted back to business, her impact on the visual language of the 90s is undeniable. As the new millennium dawned, beauty became a trap. To be respected, the most beautiful women in the world felt they had to destroy their own faces. The deglam transformation became the new gold standard for the Academy. A ballet dancer from South Africa whose knees gave out, leading her to Hollywood. Charlize Theron survived a traumatic childhood, witnessing her mother kill her father in self-defense. This darkness fueled a fearless intensity. After playing the wife, or girlfriend, she produced Monster. She gained 30 pounds and shaved her eyebrows to play a serial killer. It wasn't a stunt, it was an exorcism. Theron proved that a woman's power lies not in how good she looks, but in how much truth she can hold. Angelina Jolie, the wild child. Angelina Jolie carried a vial of blood around her neck and kissed her brother on the red carpet. She was dangerous. Her role in Girl, Interrupted, channeled that chaos into an Oscar win. But her transformation into Lara Croft made her the biggest action star on the planet. Then, the script flipped. She leveraged her massive fame to become a humanitarian. She turned the paparazzi lens toward war zones. She remains the ultimate example of weaponizing celebrity for a cause greater than box office returns. Kate Winslet. I'm not a movie star, I'm an actress. Kate Winslet, an English rose who refused to trim her thorns. Titanic could have drowned her in typecasting. Instead, she chose indie films and difficult women. She famously fought against airbrushing on magazine covers, insisting her wrinkles remain. In Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, she deconstructed the manic pixie dream girl trope. She is the anchor of authenticity in an artificial world. Natalie Portman, the prodigy. Discovered at a pizza parlor, Natalie Portman was an adult in a child's body in The Professional. She navigated the Star Wars prequels while attending Harvard, refusing to let Hollywood make her uneducated. Her turn in Black Swan was a descent into madness that mirrored the pressure of perfection she faced her whole life. She is an intellectual force, challenging the industry's lack of female directors on the very stage of the Oscars. Keira Knightley, the period drama queen. With a jawline that could cut glass, Keira Knightley became the face of historical romance. Pirates of the Caribbean made her rich, Pride and Prejudice made her a legend, but the press hounded her over her weight, calling her anorexic. She sued for libel and won. She famously posed topless for a magazine on the condition they not Photoshop her chest, reclaiming her body from the male gaze that wanted more curves than she possessed. Jessica Alba, the poster girl of the mid-2000s. Jessica Alba was cast as the exotic object of desire in Sin City and Fantastic Four. She felt objectified and underestimated. Her pivot was radical. She stopped caring about Hollywood's approval and built The Honest Company, a billion-dollar empire. She proved that if the industry treats you like a product, you might as well become the CEO. Anne Hathaway, the theater kid. Anne Hathaway grew up on screen in The Princess Diaries. She was wholesome, wide-eyed, and talented. But in the social media age, her earnestness was weaponized. The Hatha-hate phenomenon was a cruel case study in how society punishes women who try too hard. She silenced them with Les Miserables, delivering a raw, sobbing performance that won her the Oscar. She survived the internet mob and emerged stronger, a style icon and dramatic heavyweight. The muse turned warrior. Scarlett Johansson began as the indie darling of Lost in Translation, praised for a maturity beyond her years. But she redefined her career by becoming Black Widow. She became the highest-grossing actress of all time, anchoring the Marvel Universe. Yet, she sued Disney over contract breaches, a bold move that exposed the shifting economics of streaming. She is the intersection of art house credibility and blockbuster dominance. Jennifer Lawrence. The stumble heard round the world. Jennifer Lawrence broke the mold by being messy. She burped, she tripped, she joked about pizza. In The Hunger Games, she became the face of a revolution. She was the youngest person to receive 4 Oscar nominations. But the pressure of being the cool girl took a toll. She stepped away to reclaim her privacy, returning on her own terms, proving that relatability shouldn't cost your sanity. Gal Gadot, an Israeli soldier, and Miss Israel, who almost quit acting. Gal Gadot's casting as Wonder Woman was met with skepticism. Then she crossed no man's land. She brought a maternal, fierce compassion to the superhero genre. While her Imagine video during the pandemic showed the disconnect of celebrity culture, her impact on young girls seeing a woman save the world without a man's help remains indelible. Margot Robbie, the chaotic neutral. Margot Robbie stole the show in The Wolf of Wall Street by pushing Leonardo DiCaprio away with her heel. She refused to be just the hot blonde. She formed Lucky Chap Entertainment, producing I, Tanya, Promising Young Woman, and Barbie. She is not just a star, she is a mogul who is actively reshaping how women's stories are told, ensuring the female gaze is behind the camera. Emilia Clarke, the mother of dragons. Emilia Clarke was an unknown drama student when she was cast in Game of Thrones. She grew up in a wig, commanding armies. Behind the scenes, she survived 2 brain aneurysms during filming, hiding her terror while playing a conqueror. Her resilience is literal. She survived the fire, just like her character. Blake Lively, the curator. Blake Lively rose to fame on Gossip Girl, but she turned her life into the ultimate editorial. She styles herself, a rarity in Hollywood. Her Met Gala appearances are performance art. While critics sometimes dismiss her as a fashion plate, her savvy understanding of visual branding makes her one of the most influential figures in media. She understands that in the Instagram age, the image is the message. And now, the screen is in our pocket. The modern actress must be an activist, a model, a relatable friend, and an enigma all at once. The standards of beauty have expanded to include the unique, the defy, and the real. No matter where you are from, your dreams are valid. When Lupita Nyong'o won for 12 Years a Slave, she didn't just win an award. She shifted the global beauty standard. A dark-skinned Kenyan-Mexican woman gracing the cover of People as Most Beautiful was a watershed moment. She carries herself with a regal grace, choosing roles that center Black dignity and complexity. Emma Stone, the modern silent film star. Emma Stone's face is a canvas of extreme emotion. Her raspy voice and comedic timing in Easy A launched her, but La La Land crowned her. She is unafraid of the grotesque, as seen in Poor Things. She dismantled the pretty girl archetype to play Frankenstein's monster, proving that true beauty lies in the freedom to be weird. Zendaya, the voice of a generation. Zendaya transitioned from Disney kid to Emmy winner with a seamlessness that defies logic. In Euphoria, she played a drug addict with a raw vulnerability that terrified parents and comforted teens. She uses fashion as armor and storytelling. She is the first true digital native icon, understanding that her power lies in her ability to control the narrative without saying a word. Jessica Chastain, the advocate. Jessica Chastain arrived late to the game but exploded with the help in Zero Dark 30. She is the conscience of Hollywood, famously negotiating equal pay for her co-stars. She represents the actress as a worker, fighting for the collective good of women in the industry. Florence Pugh, the frown. Florence Pugh made emotional pain visceral in Midsommar. She refuses to diet for roles, cooking pasta on her Instagram stories and calling out body shamers with a fearlessness that is intoxicating. She represents the rejection of the starving starlet trope. Ana de Armas, the Cuban warmth in a cold industry. Ana de Armas broke through in Knives Out, stealing the movie from an ensemble of legends. Her portrayal of Marilyn Monroe in Blonde was controversial, yet showcased a haunting ability to channel the ghosts of Hollywood past. She dominates beauty lists not just for symmetry, but for a soulful sadness that captivates the camera. Sydney Sweeney and Alexandra Daddario, the return of the bombshell with a twist. Both actresses possess a physicality that recalls the golden age, yet they often play characters who are drowning in modern anxiety. In The White Lotus, they deconstructed the male gaze, using their beauty as a trap or a burden. They represent the current tension, being desired by the camera while analyzing the toxicity of that desire. Lily Collins and Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, the curated aesthetic. Lily Collins, the Audrey Hepburn heir, and Rosie Huntington-Whiteley represent the intersection of actress and influencer. Through Emily in Paris and Beauty Empires, they understand that in the 2020s, lifestyle is the role of a lifetime. From Julia Roberts' laugh to Florence Pugh's frown. From the carefully managed mystery of the 90s to the radical transparency of today. These 34 women are not just faces on a screen. They are the mirrors in which we have watched our culture change. They survived the tabloids, the producers, the critics, and the internet. They proved that beauty is not a passive trait, it is an active weapon. It is resilience wrapped in silk. They taught us that while the camera may capture the image, it is the woman who owns the soul. As we scroll through our feeds and watch the next generation rise, we are left with one question. In a world where everyone is now on camera, have we finally learned to see the woman behind the image? Or are we still just watching the show?